FN FAL. Development after World War II focused on creating an intermediate automatic infantry weapon, but the FAL evolved into a full-power rifle capable of firing standard rifle cartridges. The design uses a gas piston with a regulator above the barrel. The regulator can even be closed to allow safe firing of rifle grenades. A detachable box magazine, commonly 20 or 30 rounds, and a cyclic rate typically around 650 to 700 rounds per minute. Variants range from standard infantry models to heavy barrel versions with bipods for sustained fire. Although technically impressive and powerful at range, the FAL lost ground in some theaters to simpler, cheaper weapons like the AK family. The AK stamped parts and easier, lower-cost manufacturer, along with exceptional reliability in dirty conditions, made it far easier to produce and sustain for many armies. The FAL, built from more expensive components, required more precise manufacturing and maintenance, which limited its appeal in some markets despite superior ballistic performance with full-power 7.62 51mm ammunition. The FN FAL Fusel Automatic Lager is a 7.62 51mm NATO battle rifle designed by Dieudonné Save in the late 1940s and refined through the 1950s. Nicknamed the right arm of the free world, the FAL became famous for its rugged reliability and widespread adoption. More than 90 countries fielded some variant, and many nations produced licensed versions, e.g. the UK's L1A1, Canada's C1A1. Its gas-regulated action and robust construction made it a durable service rifle across a variety of climates and combat conditions. FN and licensees produced a number of official FAL variants, folding stocks, shortened barrels, heavy barrel machine rifle variants, etc. Many countries adapted the rifle to local needs. The FAL's mix of accuracy, firepower, and modularity also made it popular for licensed production and aftermarket modification, which helped it remain relevant across decades. AK-47. If the FAL was the rifle of the free world, then the AK-47 was the other arm of history. Designed by Mikhail Kalashnikov, the AK-47 is a 7.62 by 39mm assault rifle that was purposely made simple and rugged. It uses a long-stroke gas piston and generous clearances, which means it can keep firing through dirt, mud, or sand. The cartridge it fires, the 7.62 by 39, hits hard but still manages moderate recoil, and the action itself has very few moving parts. That makes it perfect for soldiers with little training and for factories with limited equipment. The Soviets built it cheaply, produced it in huge numbers, and flooded their allies with AKs during the Cold War. The result was one of the most widely copied rifles in history. The AK-47 and its variants have been produced in dozens of countries. China's Type 56, Poland, Romania, Egypt, Ethiopia, and countless others. Some nations had licensed production, others just reverse engineered it. Honestly, it was easier to ask who didn't copy the AK than who did. So, how does it work? When you pull the trigger, the hammer releases and strikes the firing pin. That firing pin slams into the primer at the base of the cartridge. The primer ignites the gunpowder inside, creating rapidly expanding gases that drive the bullet down the barrel. At the same time, some of that gas is redirected into a tube above the barrel, forcing the long-stroke gas piston back. The piston pushes the bolt carrier rearward, which extracts and ejects the spent casing. As the bolt carrier travels back forward under spring pressure, it strips a fresh round from the magazine and chambers it. During that process, it also resets the hammer, locking it back in place until the next trigger pull. In automatic fire, the selector switch holds the disconnector out of the way, meaning the hammer isn't caught between shots and the rifle keeps firing as long as the trigger is held down. That's the genius of the AK-47. It isn't about precision machining or complex engineering. It's about being cheap to build, simple to operate, and almost impossible to break. And that combination is exactly why the AK became one of the most iconic and influential weapons in history. Colt M1911. The Colt M1911 45 ACP is as American as apple pie, and for good reason. Designed by John Browning in 1910, it gave U.S. troops a hard-hitting 45 knockdown punch and a level of reliability they could trust. Built like a tank, the M1911 was easy to field strip and built to keep working in rain, mud, or sand. Adopted by the U.S. military standard sidearm in 1911, it stayed in service for decades. And once Browning's patents expired, factories around the world began making their own versions. Countries from Brazil to Mexico, Argentina to Spain produced localized M1911s, and firms in Norway, Italy, and elsewhere made notable variants. Kongsberg, Colt, Star, and Astra. Today, dozens of manufacturers, Kimber, Rock Island Armory, Taurus, and many more still make 1911-style pistols. That longevity says everything. It's a timeless design that was hard to improve on. If you're enjoying this breakdown of legendary firearms, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the guns that shaped history. Now let's get into how the M1911 actually works. How it works in plain terms: the slide rides on top of the frame and houses the firing pin and extractor. Pulling the slide back cocks the hammer and compresses the recoil spring. When you pull the trigger, the sear releases the hammer, which strikes the firing pin and ignites the primer. The burning powder creates high-pressure gas that propels the bullet forward. The recoil pushes the slide rearward. That rearward motion extracts and ejects the spent casing, cocks the hammer again, and compresses the recoil spring. The recoil spring then drives the slide forward, stripping a fresh cartridge from the magazine into the chamber, returning the pistol to the battery. The grip safety and other safeties prevent the gun from firing unless it's properly held and the trigger is intentionally pulled. CZ-75. Czech designer Josef Kotsky's CZ-75, 1975, is a double-stacked 9mm pistol famous for its ergonomics and accuracy. Featured a slide that rides inside the frame's rails, like a SIG P210, which lets the barrel sit lower and tighter for better shot placement. Because CZUB couldn't patent it abroad, the design patents were secret, almost everyone jumped on it. In fact, a large number of other manufacturers began offering pistols based on the CZ-75 design. Companies from Italy, Tenfoglio, the Witness series, Israel's IWI's Jericho 941 Baby Eagle, Turkey, Canik, Sarzlamaz, and many more have made CZ-style guns. The result? The CZ-75's innovative design spread like wildfire, spawning dozens of clones and licensed copies worldwide. Uzi. Israel's Uzi SMG, born in the early 1950s, is a compact 9mm submachine gun famous for toughness and smart packaging. Major Uziel Gall's breakthrough was the telescoping bolt. By wrapping the bolt around the barrel, the magazine could sit in the pistol grip, making the whole gun far shorter without sacrificing barrel length. That simple idea changed small weapon ergonomics forever. Mechanically, the Uzi's brutally straightforward. An open bolt, blowback action with very few parts. That means it's easy to strip, clean, and keep working in the field. Israeli soldiers liked it for that reason. In combat, it proved dependable, even if extreme sand and grit would eventually jam it like anything else. Israel exported Uzis everywhere. From the 1960s to the 1980s, it became one of the most widely sold SMGs on the planet. IMI produced it at home, FN in Belgium handled licensed builds, and dozens of copycats followed. China's Norinco produced an unlicensed Model 320, Croatia, Myanmar, and others produced Uzi-style weapons. The reason was simple. Stamped metal construction and a compact design made the Uzi cheap to copy and easy to field. There's also a family story. The standard Uzi, the Mini, and the Micro. The standard is the original full-size SMG with a roughly 10-inch barrel. The Mini trims a few inches for a lighter, more compact package. The Micro pushes the compactness further for close protection use. Each step down removes mass and shortens bolt travel, which raises the cyclic rate. Faster bolt, faster fire. But the core design and many fire control parts remain the same across the family, which is why the pattern was so flexible. A quick walkthrough. Pull the bolt back, cock it, and the Uzi fires from an open bolt. Pull the trigger and the bolt slams forward, chambers, and fires almost instantly. Remington 870. The Remington 870, 1950, is a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun that became the world's best-selling shotgun. Built like a brick outhouse, its solid steel receiver and dual-action bars made it extremely durable and easy to fix. It can cycle virtually any 12-gauge shell and is reliable enough for hunting, police work, military breaching, or home defense. Americans loved it. Remington sold 2 million by 1973, 7 million by 1996, and its 10 millionth was completed in 2009. With patents long expired, foreign makers lined up to clone it. China's Norinco famously sold their HP-91 and M98 pump guns, which are essentially 870 knockoffs. Russia's Izhevsk plant even produced the IZH-21 in the 1960s as a direct clone of the 870. Turkey, Brazil, and others later made almost identical pump shotguns. You need a tough, versatile pump-action design. The 870 template was open source for the world. Browning High Power. The Browning High Power, 1935, was John Browning's last handgun design, finalized by FN Herstal. It was a landmark 9x19mm pistol with a 13-round double-stack magazine, about double what most pistols carried back then. It felt very natural in the hand and was prized for reliability in harsh conditions. Over 50 countries adopted it, making it one of the most widely used military pistols in history. Again, once FN's patents expired, dozens of companies made copies or licensed versions. Licensed and unlicensed high powers sprang up in Argentina, Hungary, India, Bulgaria, Israel, and more, and Spanish companies like Star and Astra built thousands. Even today, firms like Turkey's Sarsılmaz, T94 MCP, and others make their own G-Series high-power clones. Truly, the high-power's 13-round frame was copied everywhere. If you've enjoyed this rundown of legendary firearms, don't forget to subscribe for more. Dragunov SVD. The Dragunov SVD 1963 is a Soviet semi-auto sniper designated marksman rifle in 7.62 54R. It was built as a rugged squad-level sniper to extend the AK's reach, essentially the Red Army's answer to the Western DMR rifles. The SVD used a short-stroke piston and was fitted with a PSO-1 scope, letting trained soldiers reliably hit targets out to about 800 meters. Like its AK brethren, the SVD was shared with allies. In fact, China captured some in the Vietnam War and reverse-engineered them into the Type 7985 rifles. Iran later made a direct copy of the Chinese version, the 7.62mm Nakjir 3. Several other countries, Soviet allies, built SVDs under license as well. In short, the Dragunov's effective semi-auto DMR concept was adopted and copied across the Eastern Bloc and beyond.